It's exactly 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time in Dallas, Texas, March 10th, 2021. 2 points come up. First, regarding the consideration of goodwill. Again, this is another matter comparable to the question that was posed yesterday regarding taxation or tax, i.e., paying the tax to the banker, paying the tax to the broker. Does he mean literally legal definition of taxation, including the constitutional implications? Goodwill has a specific kind of currency, or at least what would be reflected as value added or income for an organization that allowed for goodwill contributions to be reflected. This is actually something that I've had a lot of experience with in one manner or another in the last several years actively, but pretty much throughout my life. What is goodwill? What is characterized or understood to be goodwill? And how is goodwill valued such that it is understood as an intangible contribution or perhaps even an intangible product? Maybe even cost, depending upon how it's accounted for. Are there qualitative indicators of goodwill that also allow for a defining of a specified or specific kind of currency? And one of the things that have already been mentioned in this book, that hopefully we're going to talk about more very soon, is that not all currencies, especially in the age of digital currencies, are equivocable. And some currencies have a particular use value in a specific context that might not be well suited for another context. So, how do you pair or match currencies so that there's an equivocable or an equivocated value to them? And that there is allowed to be an appropriate circulation that does not disproportionately tax any group that it is not appropriate to tax, or that it does not allow for a misrepresentation of the actual appropriate valuation for a particular sector so that it is inaccurately reflected as a loss or a liability. So, this question of goodwill and how it factors into the concept of the banker as a distributor is very important. Then there is the next part here, where under the jobber or retailer aspects, this understanding of carrying of securities in stock, as well as the fact that one transaction can actually transmit or can actually provide distribution of a specific volume, including a very large volume. And insofar as that's the case, how and in what manner does the banker determine the correct time for allowing it? How does that transaction get permitted to proceed? Having a regular schedule and allowing for those schedules to set time indicators wherein one can rely on timely delivery of payment, including in consideration of a specific quality or specific quantity so that budgets can be created and maintained, is one matter. Concepts of what it means to invest in a large scale project. It may have to get income streams or get some sort of revenue generated in order to sustain further investment or further expansion, is another matter. But what if we're talking about something that is meant to have not only a specific kind of circulation, but a specific kind of quality in terms of maintaining whatever it is that it's supposed to reflect, i.e., stocks by a specific entity that presumably provides either certain services or certain products. And the time frame around which that issue may have been promised may have certain quality indicators that are not met by that time frame. Then what happens? The premature release of a product before it is appropriate for circulation has consequences just as profound as preventing against a timely distribution in accordance with a ongoing understanding of what the timeframes are. I think this is one of the most crucial matters we have to deal with right now, in addition to all the other factors. The alienation of us as people, including people that may be involved in a finance system, primarily through our intersection with what would be public securities or securities providing public goods, i.e., municipals, in terms of the public services we use, or some sort of service that is provided to us by employees that are compensated in consideration with the kinds of factors that go into determining the valuations or the other factors associated with something like those kinds of securities. It's very different than if we are in a realm where our primary access and our primary consumption is based upon intersecting specifically with matters that would be primarily supported by corporate securities or those that are in that sort of situation. This is kind of what he discussed yesterday, talking about the understanding that there is a substantially higher fee or commission that the banker or the broker gets for dealing with corporate securities versus municipal securities. Why? There's a different kind of security that the people who are on the consumer end of what is provided as a result of corporate securities versus municipal securities receive that should be taken into account. How is the relationship concerning the compensation to the banker or to those involved in that role factored into considerations of the kind of backup or the kind of authentication on the quality of the security if there is a disparate in the terms of fees or the commissions the investment banker gets? It goes into the question of, well, compensation, including substantial compensation, with an understanding that that person should be in a position where they're able to provide support in the event that something that is needed or intended for circulation at a particular time is for whatever reason not available, including the fact that it involves a certain kind of cultivation that has not reached the maturation level or has not reached the quality level it needs to in order to safely or effectively be circulated. So these are matters that I look forward to discussing more with you as we move forward.